visiting with Privateer Baseball alum Scott Tranchina. And Scott, first of all, kind of wanted to ask you about your time here as a student athlete at the University of New Orleans. Of course, you played in the late 90s to 2000, but just kind of overall kind of sum up what your experience was like at UNO.
It's one of the best times of my life, being able to, play locally, in front of some of the fans that we grew up in high school, getting to know and playing against. Just the camaraderie of the team that we had that year, the last 99-2000 was one of the special teams that I was able to be a part of. Just guys that, probably were not well known coming out of high school. It was guys that were just real ball players, hard ball players, and they were just scrappy guys, and we just didn't know how to lose. I mean, that was one of those things where we just pushed and pushed and pushed. We went up against some of the best teams in the country. At that time, Louisiana was known for some baseball. Most of the colleges were in the regionals or super regionals. A couple of them went to the World Series, and we got the opportunity to play against these guys really as our non-conference teams, that came in and play against UNO. That's the opportunity at UNO. You get to play these elite non-conference teams, when it's supposed to be your games you're just getting ready for, the weekend, and you get to play the solid team. So it makes you a lot better. It makes you as a group come together.
And we're certainly going to get to that 2000 team in just a moment. But just kind of going back, your decision to come to the University of New Orleans, just kind of go back to that point in time and kind of what factored into that decision.
Honestly, I got lucky. What originally got me into college baseball was a Atlanta Braves scout happened to see me playing in one of these games right when the beginning of the Legion started, and sent me off an opportunity to go play junior college up in Alabama at Wallace State. Played up there. I think we went 42-8. It was an amazing group of guys up there. A tragic event happened down here in UNO. One of their sophomore pitchers, they were getting ready for the regional, and he ended up, passing away in a car accident. And I got a call from Coach Schwarner, and they had one roster spot open, and an opportunity to come back home. Kind of fit the same as Keen Poche, did. So I was able to come in and possibly be one of their closers. So it really was I got lucky. I got blessed that I had an opportunity to come back home. And I thought it was one of the best things for me to come home, play with the guys I grew up with, play in front of the family, and it all fell, right in my hands, really, with, God blessed me with that.
You pitched over 50 games as a privateer. Kind of just talk about maybe some of your favorite individual moments in that time.
It's hard to narrow them down. I think the individual moments, it kind of gets blurred over all the games you play. I think it's the competition, the getting on the mound and wanting to do well for your team, knowing you're going to do well for your team, and your team's counting on you to be the guy to get them to the next step, whether it's winning that game, getting out that inning, or winning a championship for them. Everyone in baseball, it's individual sport. That's a bunch of teammates, playing as a team together. It's kind of awkward as a pitcher and a hitter, it's one-on-one, but then right when it leaves your hand, it's the rest of your teammates going to pick you up. And I mean, even if you're having a bad day on the mound, the guys around you can come and just come together offensively and make it a run scoring game. So ULL's probably stands out the most. Another opportunity that we had same year, actually, I had the luck of pitching against Alabama in the Winn-Dixie Showdown. So we had a couple Winn-Dixie games that we were able to play. One of the last teams that I got to play in the Superdome. So we went up against Alabama, Auburn that year. It's just some memorable moments. It's just too many to kind of single out.
Of course, in your time here, you mentioned about playing for Coach Schwarner, and then, of course, Coach Randy Bush in his first year here as a head coach. Just kind of talk about what it was like playing for those guys in your time here.
It's a blessing. I mean, not only the two head coaches, but, Wally Whitehurst and Kenny Benora, those are the last two guys to go to the World Series with UNO. So those were our assistant coaches the last 2 years I was there. Schwarner was my junior year, and just die-hard baseball guy, just grind it out, push it to your limit. Just, I guess, an old-school baseball coach, and, which true lovers of the game love that kind of coach. I can't say enough about him. But I think just that transition of Randy coming in, with his winning experience, his professional approach to the game was a little bit different. But I think having Kenny and Wally there to kind of transition us through, kind of keep us on the same path, it allowed us a little bit of an outlet. Randy comes in with a different mindset, and it's all business, it's all professional. You carry yourself as a professional. You look the part. If you don't look the part, you don't even have an opportunity to stay on the field. So, I mean, I love playing for those guys.
And you mentioned about obviously Tom and Randy, and then of course with the assistants and Wally and Kenny as well. Not only like you mentioned the coaching styles, but just talk about from the aspect of those are guys that obviously contributed to this program as players as well, and were a part of some big successes in the past. From that aspect, how advantageous was it for you guys?
Yeah, you couldn't ask for anything better. I mean, all four of them, from a standpoint of they're just winners. But having Wally and Kenny, with Wally going on to play professionally for multiple years, understanding he was our pitching coach. He pushed us to our limit. He taught us a new way of preparing, new way of being a pitcher, not just a thrower out there. Kenny was just a gung ho. Just no one's going to outwork his infield. No one's going to outwork his hitters. How can you not look at those guys and just look at them as champions? Some of the best coaching I've ever had, in multiple levels that I've been at. And, I appreciate everything they did for us.
Looking back to that 2000 team in particular, as we get to that year, it seemed like it was very versatile in the fact that obviously the bats are very strong and there were some guys who put up big numbers at the plate, but it was also a team that could kind of win those pitchers' duels. They could win pretty much any kind of way, couldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, getting a chance to look at just the lineup, I wouldn't want to face our lineup. We had guys that were, I think it was like 6 guys hit over 300. The other 2 or 3 guys were at 280, 290. Home runs, I think we had 11 guys that had home runs on that team. 3 or 4 double digit. I think Matt had 18 home runs he ended up with that year. I mean, it's just guys that could just hit the ball. I mean, it was a blessing having them behind you if you didn't have your own day. I teach some of the guys I coach now that you may be on your A game 2 out of 10 times you step on your mound. The 4 or 5 other times you're going to compete. Two of those games out of the 10, you're not going to have anything. Well, having a team like that behind you as an offense, they can keep you in 4, 5, 6 innings, just have a high scoring game. You were never out of any game. They can explode for 8, 9, 10 runs in an inning. It was an amazing to watch. I think we had Steve and Raul that had, 17 game or something like that, 27 game hitting streak, throughout the year. It was just an amazing group of guys that you just look at any one of them, no matter what it was, even if it was a guy that didn't have the highest batting average, he can lay a bunt down, steal a base, bunt a guy over. We just played hardball. That was a unique thing about that team.
And of course, college baseball, it's a marathon of a season going over 50 games just in the regular season alone, not including postseason. But sometimes it is about the start as well and building that confidence. And you guys got out the gate and win 11 of your first 15 games. Then you get to that first series in Sunbelt play against FIU, and you score double digits in each game in that series. So just kind of talk about the importance of how fast you guys started for the confidence level going forward.
I think it was the mindset of this team. I think it started with Randy. It started with, the 2 coaches. We had, 2 graduate assistants that, had the same mindset that we all grew up with. No one's going to outwork us. And when we go face off the first couple of games against an Alabama and Auburn and a Tulane, and we won 2 out of 3 of those games, those were guys that are ranked top 10 at the time. I think Alabama at the time was ranked 1 or 2 in the nation. So we didn't back down from anyone, which is kind of like the statement for our team. Not one guy on that team, even the guys that didn't play much, they didn't back down. They were guys that were ready to put in any opportunity they had, they were going to produce. So, I mean, gaining that confidence, seeing the guys next to you, not backing down, not being overmatched, not being overpowered, you knew that no matter what you were walking into, you had a chance to win every single day. And that's unique. It's a rare, feeling to be able to go out there and just say, no matter who's on the field on the other dugout, we're going to beat them, and just had confidence in that.
Of course, fast forward to that final series of the regular season. You guys know what you needed to do to win the regular season Sun Belt title, and having to go up to Lafayette May 12th, the date at Teague Moore Field. a team that hadn't lost in 38 straight home games, and you're
Right.
pitching that first game of the series. Just kind of talk about kind of your thought process going into that weekend, and obviously just that night. And of course, you were able to really dominate on the mound and hold a very powerful Cajuns lineup under wraps for 8 innings.
Yeah, you look at their team, and we knew going in, we played them earlier in the season. Like I said, we prepared against those Mississippi States and Tulanes and LSUs throughout the year. So going into that field, personally, I knew I had to step up for my team. I was the Friday night starter. I was going up against one of these guys who was going to be a top 10 draft pick, Scott Dome, and it was always a pitcher's duel with him and I. And when it came down to it, I believe it was a one-run game. I think my guys scored probably early first, second, third inning. When it went in there knowing that I had to eat up innings, but also win that game. I couldn't go in there and just do 3 or 4 or 5 innings and go right to the bullpen with our guy. We had to save the arms to make sure that we were ready for Saturday and Sunday. So going into it, I was lucky enough to have awesome defense that night. I had some guys making amazing plays, got me into, I think, the 8th inning with a no-hitter at the time. And I think, the one hit I ended up giving up was a missile over the fence, to, I think, one of their, power hitters. And then that inning, they were tied up. We went into the dugout, 8th inning. All of a sudden, we explode with 7, 8 runs in the 8th inning, which gave us an opportunity to kind of, realize that, hey, they're not going to come, and try to take it away from us. We can hit just as good as them. We can come out there. It's a pitching duel in the first 8. Well, guess what? Now it's going to be a hitting duel. Let's go ahead and see if you can catch up to us. And it was just an amazing group of guys that finally everything that we worked on in the beginning of the year just came through in that series. It was amazing. You got Scott Waddell, you got Waddell coming up pitching on Saturday. He, shut him down. The offense came in. It's just, everything just clicked. Nobody was, off limits. I was in the bullpen to come and close it out on Sunday. It's just, we wanted to win that game. We knew that no matter what, no one was going to give up on that. So it was just an amazing feeling. Great to see that our team, got to that point. It's unfortunate that we didn't make it all the way, but for that team to actually go in there into their home field, beat their streak, I think, earlier in the year, they had a 17-game winning streak at one point that we beat Lafayette to break that for them. So it's kind of we were like a thorn in their side. They ended up going on to the World Series that year, but, at least we could sit up and say, look, we stepped up and we went into their field and, took care of business there.
And like you said, it was a springboard for the rest of the weekend and being able to win the regular season title. And what was it like to be able to claim that and obviously write your guys' name in the history books alongside some of the great UNO teams that preceded?
Yeah, at that time, you're not thinking of that. You're so young and you don't realize what you're doing. You're just out there. Like I said, these guys, we were kind of like the underdog in every situation, and every one of us just stepped up, throughout the whole season. So when you look back at it, being the age that we are now and see what we were able to achieve, I think we forget how great of a moment, how great of a season that was. And you look back at some of the teams that we ended up going against, they were elite teams. They were great teams in our local area, metro area, and we were one of them. So it's I try to look at it as the young guys coming up now and to realize what you're actually achieving when you're in college. To get that opportunity to play college ball, don't let it slip away. Just work as hard as you can to get to that point to where you don't look back and say, what if?
And you touched on obviously the competition level around the state, of course, and around the region as well, and how it really prepared you guys. And it's always been competitive around here, but I think 2000 might have been one of the highest points as far as college baseball in the state of Louisiana. And you did kind of touch on this earlier, but 2 teams that have made it to the College World Series, and I think 6 teams from the state that have made NCAA regionals. And just kind of talk about obviously the competition level and how it really prepared you guys.
I mean, growing up down here, I think baseball's overlooked, but, SEC football and things like that. Baseball, we have some of the best talent in the Southeast, Louisiana area. I don't think you can, really look at this talent and say there's anything else out there in the country that's better than the talent that's down here. You get an opportunity to play locally, you get an opportunity to bring some guys in. You got couple miles away, you got Tulane, that's one of the elite schools when it comes to baseball. You got LSU, every single ULL. McNeese was great at that time. Nichols, Southeastern, they all were competitors. And at the end of the day, even if you happen to have an off year from a school standpoint, the rivalry that we have locally, it just brings out the best in every single school. It's just you can't stress enough how great of a baseball opportunity it is to play, especially at UNO. And then, like we talked a little bit about Tulane, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Auburn, Alabama. That's our off season. Our off schedule. That's the ones that we kind of fine tune in some things. Whereas, that's what we get to play against. It can only make you better.
And now fast forward to today, and obviously, as you look back on this, and it's now been 20 years since that team, and obviously just kind of reflecting back on some of the memories that we've talked about here in the past 15 minutes or so, and just kind of talking about some of the biggest lessons that you learned that you carried forward. You mentioned that you mentioned to me before we started that you do some coaching as well on the side, but just kind of some of the lessons that you learned that you really took forward.
Well, I think the friendship that you and the bond that you get. I can't speak to other sports and baseball. It's just, you can't replace that. You can't explain it to people that aren't in the game. High school is a great opportunity and great experience there. But when you get to a college level, I think that's the bond you get, road trips, schoolwork, working out in the off season, getting up early, just putting the time in and then seeing the success and then just seeing the drive, that everyone had here. It's something that you hope to God everybody can actually experience that's playing the game now. You hope that they don't overlook the opportunity they have if they ever get a shot at college baseball. It's just one of those things that I think I am who I am, and a lot of the guys, are who they are because they had that opportunity to have that teammate next to them pushing them even further, even harder. And you didn't want to fail. You didn't want to let your teammates down. We had, before this stuff hit, we had about 17 or 18 guys commit to coming down for our reunion, to come out to UNO for the alumni day and get down. That's guys 20 years out still have that commitment to UNO, still have that commitment just to see each other and just, one last hug and handshake and go out and, just, catch up on old times. There's 18 guys that at least were coming out of the 25 guys that were on the team. It's just, you can't say enough about them.
Was a special team and certainly a special season and a special moment, and certainly one that we'll remember fondly here, of course, in UNO history. And Scott, want to thank you very much for joining us and taking a little time.
I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity also.